Straight up Tennessee fam, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Ruck in the building. Guys, check this out, man. It is SEC tournament time, which means it's time to truly talk what's going to happen from now to the rest of the season. We're going to talk all things SEC preview for the tournament. Obviously, it's Thursday, so the first round happened. We'll talk a little bit about what we think, who can win this tournament, who's a dark horse in this tournament, but we all know who is the most important, or should I say, what is the most important tournament? And that is the tournament that starts next week, Selection Sunday. And then from there on, man, who can win the big dance is wide open again. I think the last 2 years, you've had the most wide open year. This year, who comes out on top out of the West, the East, the Midwest, and the South brackets? You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Ruck in the building. I got the boy Lance Asher with me today as well. So stay tuned, man. It's going to be a fire show. Let's get it today on this Thursday. Let's have a fun time. It's straight up Tennessee, baby. Let's go.
From 40, on the way, a knuckleball. He got it!
Yo, straight up Tennessee family. What's up? It's your boy Ruck in the building. Y'all know what to do. It's the top of the show. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, man. Also, go ahead and hit that share button. Copy the link. Send it on your Facebook, Insta, Twitter, X, everything, bro. Go ahead. Put it on TikTok. Take a clip this thing. Put it on TikTok. Tag straight up Tennessee. All Apple and Spotify listeners, man, thank you guys. I tell y'all this a lot. That's where we started this. That's where this whole idea came to be. Y'all been rocking with us from the beginning, and we could not appreciate you any more. Let's talk about this right now, man, from the top of the show. Obviously, Tennessee and Kentucky played on last Saturday. Great game. I felt like Tennessee got behind way too early. Kentucky shot way too good from the three-point line. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what can this Kentucky team do to kind of push through the next few games. But more than anything, what does Tennessee need to do? We'll talk more about that here today, but also we're going to just talk about the SEC tournament. So you already know, man, I'm going to bring on this boy, Lance Asher, and we're going to have fun today. So Lance, what's up, my brother? How we doing? How are you? It's good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you, man, as always.
You know it, man. You know it. We've been trying to get this show on the ropes for the past probably 2 weeks, and
I know,
finally,
man.
Here we are. Y'all, Lance going to be on a lot here in the next few weeks with this tournament, man, because him and I, when we start talking hoops, it's very evident. We are fans of two teams. One of them being the Kentucky Wildcats, and myself, I'm all Vol. But the one thing that I loved about Lance, and I can't find this with a lot of people, is we also just really love basketball. And so it's easy to talk about like, hey, this guy's actually really good. This team really could win. And it's not a biased thing, even though, of course, we typically we want our guys to win. But I'm just too much of a realist to think that we can just beat every single team, which we can, but will we is the true thing.
That's a good way to put it. I feel like that's definitely a good conversation for this year. It's less about can you and more about will you.
Yeah,
man, there might be more teams this year that could win the whole thing than the past couple of years for sure, I think.
I mean, this year more than anything, I will say this is what I feel like this year as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned. In the past few years, specifically the last two, there have been mid-major teams that I've been like from the beginning, like you got to watch out for this team. I don't feel that way in 24 at all. I'm
No.
not like I'm not watching like Stony Brook or Charleston or like McMarrick and all of these teams. Like I've watched Indiana State, like I've watched them play, and I'm just not impressed at all. Like
It's
I
not the
think,
same as the last few years where there's like those teams where they could do something. It's just I don't think it's really like that this year. I think the good teams are the good ones, and maybe there's less parity between like teams 5 through 30,
yeah,
like than there usually are. But I agree with you. I don't think I don't know if there's one mid major I can think of that I'm actually like, oh gosh. Now if I have to see UNC Wilmington again as a Kentucky fan, I'd prefer
yeah, we
not
don't
to. We don't
don't
talk
want
about
that
that
no
game,
more.
but
We good. We're good on that.
but yeah, man, it's been a fun season.
It has been a fun year. Like I felt like this year the SEC solidified itself as the best basketball conference. I told
I
you
think
this the
so.
other day. Like ACC, yeah, Big 12, yeah, Big 12 is incredible. A lot of great teams. But if you like there are probably 8 to 9 SEC teams I would take over a Big 12 school this year.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like
You just saw what I mean. What Houston just beat Kansas by what 30?
30.
And can't I mean, yeah. It's funny to me too as a Kentucky fan. I guess like the difference between how people talk about Kansas and Bill Self and Kentucky and John Calipari. Like when Cal, we lost 3 games in a row this year at home at Rupp for the first time in Rupp Arena's history, and people were like, losing it. Fire Cal.
Yep.
And maybe it's because I'm not a Kansas fan, but like I don't hear that stuff from like national media. When Kansas lost 8 games, and what did they lose 8 conference games this year for the first time in Bill Self's history, if I'm not mistaken.
And I don't know what the
Nobody's saying fire Bill Self. What is this?
Yeah, and I don't know what the call was on Hunter Dickinson. Like if he's out for the tourney, it's a wrap for them.
Dude, I need to follow up on that one. That's there's a piece of me though. I would never wish ill on somebody, obviously. But there was some drama with Hunter Dickinson over the summer. We tried really, really hard to recruit him. And he kind of, obviously he chose to go somewhere else, and that's fine. But then he kind of rubbed it in our faces a little bit after the fact and was talking all this mess about like how he didn't enjoy his visits to Kentucky and all this stuff. And if you remember that one of the first games of the season was Kentucky, Kansas in the Champions Classic, and we only lost that game by 5.
Yeah.
And we did not have a fully healthy team then. So I would love to see Kansas again. You can go ahead and mark it down that I said it here and now. I'd love to see Kansas again. You know who I don't want to see again though? I'd really not like to. I don't want to see Tennessee again. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again. I feel like I'm flipping a coin every time we play this year.
Yeah, I think if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be this week, and it'll be in the championship. That's the only way it'll happen again.
That's the way it should be.
And it would be a glorious game because now you're gonna really see, all right, who had whose number this year, because you're gonna get a neutral site. It's literally here's the 2 best fan bases that travel in the SEC is Tennessee and Kentucky,
and they're about the same distance away from Nashville. Literally.
So it's going to be 50-50, and that place is going to be rocking regardless.
Oh, man,
that's what you want.
I'd love to be there.
Bro, that leads perfectly. Like let's talk about the SEC tournament for a second. Like as we talk about what's supposed to happen, obviously it's Thursday. So that first round game has already happened. And I say first round game. It's games. I want to look at this bracket together right here.
Oh yeah, you got it. I was going.
Yeah. If you look here at the bracket, obviously round 1 was right here. You have Vanderbilt and Arkansas, and then obviously you got Missouri and Georgia. It's obviously we're not shooting this at a time where we can talk about scores. All 4 of those teams suck this year. I mean, like those are like the comparative numbers to the bottom 4 and everyone else. Like I would even say LSU is really not as like, I can't believe they pulled an 8 seed. I thought they were really bad.
We were an LSU buzzer beater away from finishing the regular season with an 8-game winning streak.
Yeah, that game was weird though.
That was a tough one to swallow.
That was a really weird game watching them. Y'all had to go on the road too. So,
yeah,
but that team
this
is not very good.
That's what when you were saying like the SEC solidified itself as the best league. I agree with you 100%, and I definitely, but I would even go as far as to say like the 4 worst teams in the SEC are still better than the 4 worst teams in a few other leagues.
Very true. Like I would take. I mean, Georgia. Here's the thing about Georgia. They're
sneaky.
They were just young.
They're sneaky tough.
That. I mean, with what was
it was
the
not an easy game to win for us.
Blue Cane and what's the guy's name? Number 3, Wasserman, something weird like that. I don't remember his name.
I'm gonna look it up real quick, but I'm with you.
But their guards, man, their guards were great. I just felt like, and then Abdul Rahim, he shoot the ball from anywhere.
That guy, holy moly, yeah. That guy was hurting us.
And so I think the biggest surprise this year at how bad they were was Arkansas.
Gotta be.
Like, I didn't expect Missouri to bring, like, of course, they got Nick Honor back, but you lose Demoy Hodge, Kobe Brown. Like, you lost way too much.
They lost too much toughness.
Exactly. Demoy Hodge and Kobe both went to the league.
They got my man LA Fitness out there, running the point guard. Yeah. Like, there's not much you can do with that.
No, and it was just strange at how bad, though, Arkansas was. You think about, like, just how Arkansas over the last couple years has been, I wouldn't even say they've been like that good, but they've had good teams. I mean, you had Anthony Black and Walsh, Nick Smith. Like, you had some dogs last year, and you lost them all to the NBA.
Yeah,
but you still returned some guys from there, and they couldn't. I felt like when Devo Davis and all of that happened earlier in the season, it just completely ripped their chemistry apart.
Yeah, it did.
And you saw games where you were like, okay, yeah, now this is Arkansas. I remember playing fast, moving the ball up and down the court, rebounding, playing defense. They could never shoot the ball well from 3, but they always played harder. And you saw that towards like the middle half of the year, but it wasn't enough because everyone else was so much more they were further down the line in the chemistry realm than Arkansas was.
That's why I'm glad that we played them a little bit later in the slate than earlier, because we had our offense a lot more dialed in. If I'm not mistaken, we scored 100 points the second time we played them in regulation and won. And the first time out, I know it was a little bit more of a knockdown drag out, but they were preseason, top 5?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
No, they were
preseason top 10 at least for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it was up there. That's a pretty big disappointment to end up at the 12 seed in the SEC tournament. But I don't want to play them.
No, I think, and I want to be honest. I looking at the bracket once again, y'all have the hardest side. Like when we talk about a Florida team who nobody thought was going to be as good as they actually are,
and they got us once.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm done with the Alabama hype. I would not be worried about Alabama if I was anybody in that bracket, because all it takes for them is if they shoot, let's say they shoot 10 shots in the first, before the under 12 timeout. Okay, let's just call that. Let's say they shoot 10 threes. If they only hit 2 of those, you're going to have a good night. Because if they see 8 of them not go in and they've shot 10, that they don't know what to do anymore.
You remember, you know what I mean? Like, you remember drawing graphs in math class? If you were to draw a graph for Alabama's season, they are going steadily down.
Yeah, bro. These the last 3 games for them, starting with us, and then just going down. It was crazy.
If I were gonna fill this out for real, give me Georgia over Missouri. I think Florida beats Georgia 100 times out of 100. I think Florida beats Alabama, and then I think we have to beat Florida to get to that next game, and I think we will. But I agree with you. We've got a little bit of an easier path through it. I don't want to play Texas A&M. If there's one team that I'm a little like, I don't want to see them again, 100% for sure.
And it's simply Radford and Wade Taylor. Like, those 2 guys can beat you.
I'm terrified. I have nightmares about Wade Taylor. He scares me in my sleep. He's so good. He scores so many points. every time.
Every time. And it's and you don't like and in tournaments like the SEC tournament, you don't like underdogs because they
Heck no.
always end up winning. Those are the teams that can win the tournament.
Yeah, it's
So
annoying
like
when they do.
when you talk about this, the top side of the bracket, obviously Tennessee's there's the 1, Auburn's the 4. I would love to see another Tennessee Auburn matchup. I thought that was one of the best SEC games of the year, not because I'm a Tennessee fan, but because
It was a fun game.
it took so much out of both teams, and it was the team who could get on a run the longest and withstand and withstand a punch. And Tennessee did it. And the
came
team
from behind to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you this. I don't out of the bracket, obviously Tennessee has that bye Friday. They're gonna play Friday at noon. I can't wait. I will be sitting right there mid-court. It's gonna be amazing. I don't want to play Mississippi State, dude. I don't, because I hate Tolu Smith. He's been at Mississippi State for 13 years, and he always beats up on Tennessee every time. Their guards really aren't that good, but Tolu Smith draws enough attention to where if he's getting buckets, somebody's got to collapse and somebody's going to be open for 3.
Every time.
And it's super annoying. And I hate Mississippi State, but I also want to play Mississippi State because when we lost to them, we played them there. We played terribly. And I love Tennessee at neutral site games. I love Tennessee because it's like Kentucky. It's really like Kentucky. It's going to feel like a home game because
you can own the crowd.
We travel. And I mean, goodness gracious, buddy, if you're not traveling to Nashville and you're a Vols fan or a Kentucky fan, it's spring break too. What are y'all doing?
I guarantee you, blue and orange are the most represented colors in that place for every game in the tournament.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Starting
I
at
can't
game
wait
1.
to go. I can't wait to see what it's like Friday, man. Like I haven't been to a tournament since 19 when Tennessee played Mississippi State and Admiral Schofield dunked on that dude.
Oh,
you remember
you were at that game?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't remember that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he baptized them. They called him Reverend Schofield.
You know what?
Yeah.
I really, as a Kentucky fan, I liked Admiral Schofield. I thought he was awesome. I can't stand Grant Williams. I didn't like him then. I don't like him now.
Yeah. Grant's becoming a non-likable cat right now in the NBA as well.
He's doing it to himself.
He is. He is.
I mean, but props to him for owning it. He's fun. Like he's objectively fun because he likes to cause chaos, but sometimes it's annoying.
Yes. When you look at the bracket though, Lance, like fandom aside, bias aside, who scares you right now with how this is laid out? Like, what is that team that you wouldn't be surprised if you like, you know what? They're going to make a run. They could make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, outside of what we've already talked about, the team that's the most confusing to me is South Carolina. I don't know what they are. Like on their best day, they're like a top 10, top 5 team. And on their worst day, they're like literally the worst team in the country.
100%.
They got us once. They got you guys once, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep, we lost to them at TBA by 4.
Did they beat Alabama too, I think?
I don't remember. At one point, South Carolina was like 21-3.
Yeah, they were rocking. And then they just plummeted. So I'd rather not have to play a team like that because you just don't know what you're going to get, especially in a neutral site. They're literally right in the middle of the field. So then, they're going to make the tournament, so they don't really have necessarily anything to lose, but they have plenty to prove.
Yeah.
This is a quad 1 win opportunity for several teams that need it, which that kind of adds something that the SEC tournament didn't used to have. With now the way the net rankings work, like these, Texas A&M's, like they're desperate for, to make it to that second game so they can maybe knock off a quad 1 opponent. So I would say South Carolina is a team that I'm like, I'd rather not. Outside of that, as honest as I can be, I think that Tennessee is the team still to beat. Obviously Kentucky's my team, but I'd be willing to go through any other team with pretty much a good amount of confidence at this point, except for Tennessee. And if I can help it, I'd rather not see South Carolina.
Yeah. I think when I'm looking at it, bro, like I agree with the South Carolina thing because they're weird,
They
bro.
can
Like
beat Auburn.
they're very strange. It's like
They're scrappy.
it's like does Cooper go for 20? Does Michi Johnson go for 20? Does Mac go for 20? Like they've got multiple dudes that can do it.
Yeah.
And if they piece it all together, they really could make a run. But for me, bro, the scariest team, in my opinion, is Florida because Walter Clayton Jr. and then their bigs are big. Like they're not just like some tall, lanky cats. Like they're big and they make
They're not
the
just
right
like
decision.
out there to do nothing either. Like their bigs are very involved. Great passing.
Yeah, and I
the
just
big guys.
didn't. I didn't suspect this early. You know, like we beat Florida by 20, and it just wasn't. I was like, oh, yeah, same Florida team. And then it was like, oh my God, Florida's ranked in the top 20. What? What?
Wild.
Huh?
We opened the season with Florida. That was our first SEC game, and we only got them by 3. It was tight the whole time. And I was like, okay, we're kind of getting into the slate. Well, then the second time we played, they get us in overtime.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to see. I'd rather not see Florida necessarily.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, I mean, and it's super strange for me to say this because I would say over the last few years, I mean, other than last year, you know, Alabama was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
With Brandon Miller and all those cats. But like, it's hard for me to say this because it's not necessarily been the case. But like, when Tennessee does things like you look at the South Carolina game at South Carolina, the Auburn game, when you fight back, Alabama at Alabama to win the SEC. Like all of these specific games that I can think of, you're like, there's nobody in the country that can beat that team. But then you go through scoring droughts and you have to lean on Dalton Knecht way too much, which he's gonna get his. Like the games where he has, which is crazy, the games where he only has 20, and it's crazy that I'm saying only has 20. Those are typically the games that we're winning big. When we're saying, hey, bro, we need you to go get 35, that lets me know that someone is not doing their job.
Yeah, he's over contributing at that point.
Yeah, and it's like it's really cool to watch because it's like, dang, bro, he put 40 on Kentucky. Like, who's the last person to drop 40 on Kentucky?
He didn't just drop it; he took it.
Like, and so it's like that's cool and everything, but here I'm gonna say this: and the most disappointing player on this roster this year is Santiago Vescovi.
I've been waiting for a moment to ask you. I'm perplexed.
We don't know. Like,
it's so strange, man.
Airball in threes.
I mean, I don't really necessarily like him, but I am a little bit like, what happened, dude? Like,
I'm not expecting you to like him. I don't like him right now.
He's
not helping anything.
He usually gets 15 to 20 on us every time he plays us or something.
Yeah, it's just
he didn't score a point, if I'm not mistaken, on Saturday.
Lance, he had 0 points, bro.
He put Tony Snell stat lines.
How? And it's just like, you are a 5th-year senior. You've been a part of this culture,
He's a
offense.
6-year senior.
He is. Yeah, because he came in 19.
Because
19,
COVID year.
20, 21, 22, 23. Dude. And you doing this. You see what I'm saying? And the other thing is, and I tell everybody this, so watch. If there's any type of big name beside a game, so we went to Maui this year. Okay, so that's a big thing. Like when we played, who'd we play? We played NC State in San Antonio. It was like a special game in the middle of the year. And anything that has tournament beside it, anything like that, Josiah James just shows up out of nowhere.
Balled out.
And so now I'm like, I already know, like, we're going to get the production we need out of him these next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, he disappears. 8 points is not enough. And the reason I say that is because for Tennessee, Zakai Ziegler, he cannot be the second option at 5'9". I'm sorry. Like, you cannot be option number 2 at 5'9", and you are our one guard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, you can get 20 if you want to, but you can't be the second option when no one else is scoring.
Dude, I was just the first time that we played and he had what, 25?
26.
26? I was like, what am I looking at here? And then I was like, maybe we'll shut that down a little bit better the next time. But I mean, he still had pretty solid offensive game.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does that. I don't know how does he get so many good shots?
Because everybody just is looking at 2 guys, man. Like Adu attract some folks, and then I mean, obviously don't connect. That's really it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. I want to talk about this Kentucky roster. Really now, because you're seeing the fullness of it. I'm a fan of basketball, so I can say this, not as a heartfelt. The most disappointing player on that entire roster is Aaron Bradshaw. Like, I was expecting him to literally come out and be like, bam. Like, I was like, he came out, like, watching his tape from all of these Jersey teams, and Jersey is a hard place to play basketball. Like, you can't be a chump. And I'm just like, he out here getting punked. And it's just weird. I'm like, but the most important, and I guess like the most shocking player to me over the last 10 games has really been Justin Edwards. Like, the fact that he is showing that he was the number 1 player in the class finally. Is like, it's kind of like, it's the Kentucky effect, right? You get on a team with a lot of great players and you can't find yourself.
Yeah.
Until you just realize, or it's like you put on that cape again and you like, I was really him. Let me just be him again. You know what I mean?
This is where like I'm so confused by the section of Kentucky fans who are like so quick every season, it seems like, to fire Calipari. Because I'm like, if you name one season where a player hasn't gotten better, I can't think of one. Even like the COVID year where we were horrible. We won 9 games that year. Brandon Boston Jr. still gets drafted like high, and he dunked on Giannis the other night. It was awesome. Like, it's I don't know. So I agree with both of those takes. Aaron Bradshaw is not as productive of a player as I expected him to be. I love that he has like that Draymond Green kind of vibe though.
Yeah.
Because we need somebody who's willing to like kick up some dust and can get away with it, because we can absorb a few of Aaron Bradshaw's fouls with having, Zvonimir, Ivisic, and Hugo on the end. So good luck saying either of those names 100 times fast. But yeah, if you'd have asked me that question like a month ago, like who was the most disappointing, I would have told you Justin Edwards, 100% for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't be more proud of a kid for fighting through what he's fought through mentally and physically to get to this point where he's insanely confident after more than half of the season not being that.
Exactly.
Man, he's coming on at the right time. So again, we're talking about graphs and math class. I feel like Kentucky's we're heading up. We hadn't figured out how to score 100 points no matter what when we played South Carolina that time and lost. Like, it's just we didn't have all the excuse me. We didn't have all the pieces, and we've still, if I'm not mistaken, only played four games this season with a fully healthy and available roster. 4.
I saw something the other day about Cal and Kentucky, and I'd love to get how you feel about it. I might have been listening to the Club 520 podcast with Jeff Teague and those cats, and they were just talking about Kentucky. They were talking about Reed, Rob, and all these guys, and they were saying, it's crazy how much talent Kentucky can get year in and year out, but what Cal has done for Kentucky is not as significant as what he's done for the NBA. What do you think about that?
Interesting.
Like, what do you think about that? Like, they're saying that Cal has done more for the NBA than he has for Kentucky.
I've never heard anybody say that, but that's an interesting take. I mean, I think I can definitely see the logic in that.
Because it's like you get the Natty with the Anthony Davis roster, and that was in 2012, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's been 12 years now.
Yeah. So
it's like, I've never heard of it that way, but they're like, it just sparked my mind. I was like, well, I wonder what you think about that.
Cal's time at Kentucky, right? We're coming up on 15 years. And I think the reason that a whole bunch of people are like constantly upset and disappointed is because the last 6 years compared to the first 6 years are two different stories. That's a fair point. Mm-hmm. However, if you take the whole thing in context, what you're looking at, even in just those 15 years, is a Hall of Fame resume. Never mind the fact that he's taken two other teams to the Final Four in the national championship, finally won his first one. He's been back to the national championship game once since then, made more Final Fours since then. Have the last 4 to 5 years been more disappointing than usual? 100% for sure. But look, you gotta be realistic. Name one coach you would rather have, and I'm willing to listen. There's not a name for me personally. It's not Scott Drew. It's not Mark Few. It's not Nate Oates. Good grief. Tired of hearing that. I mean, heck, some Kentucky fans want Bruce Pearl. God love him. I like the guy. But just, I don't know. It's a little bit insane to me, the overreaction to Calipari's not success. I just don't think it's fair to categorize like the last few years as their own thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an optimist, and I want to have fun.
I feel you. I get it.
To say that Cal's done more for the NBA than Kentucky, maybe by an ounce. I don't know. I get it. You've got a good point in saying that.
Yeah. I just thought it was super interesting because I was like, like half of the guys, and I think they were coming because the follow-up was like, look at all of the guys in the league that were on the All-Star team that played at Kentucky.
Set a record.
He was like, most of them weren't half that good at Kentucky.
Some of them came off the bench. But
they're saying Cal put him on a platform to get to the NBA.
Exactly. And so I do think that's an element of Calipari's like legacy that is a little underrated. And I think it just depends on your personality, whether that's something you care about or not. So fair enough. Yeah. I'm a people person. So like that means something to me that Calipari's not just a coach, but he's a leader and he cares about these kids clearly. How many like these kids have such a great relationship with him that they're coming back years and decades now later. Like John Wall still comes to hang out. DeMarcus Cousins still
I heard
comes
John
to
Wall
hang out.
on his podcast with Coach Cal.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Like Tyler Ulis is on our coaching staff right now.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. SEC Player of the Year, Tyler Ulis.
Yeah.
Went undefeated all the way to the Final Four and lost to Wisconsin. Tyler Ulis.
Frank Kaminsky.
We don't say his name. We don't. Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, and Nigel Hayes. All three of you. I don't want to see you. But yeah, man, that's an interesting take. I think that's a really fun point to kind of talk about. But there's not enough Kentucky fans saying good things about Calipari, and that is bizarre to me.
That's just weird.
I don't know how to be anything other than grateful for what we have as Kentucky fans.
Very weird.
It sucks to lose, but like, I don't know. Wouldn't you rather take your chance every year with the best kids?
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like you can say he can't do it. He's done it, So look, bro. There's only one team can win it every year. So like, what do you want?
I'm excited, bro, because we're going to do another show to continue this whole conversation. We're going to do one for the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we'll recap the SEC tournament. I think for me, looking at this bracket, the very last time, I hope to see Tennessee and Kentucky in the Natty. Of course, that would be crazy too. But
Dude,
I would love to
please.
see Tennessee and Kentucky in the SEC tournament championship. It would be what the world. It's what ESPN wants.
It's what
So
ESPN wants. It's what
you
the
know what I mean?
football gods want. It's what I want.
Yeah.
Even as a fan, I'd rather take it. Even if we lose that game, I'd rather see it.
Yeah, that's gonna be the game to watch. It's literally you play them for the third time, neutral site. It's literally 50-50. That's what you hope for. So,
Absolutely.
man, as we wrap this, well, go ahead.
I was gonna say one quick side note before we wrap. Did you see at the time of recording this? I think it was last night or the night before. Drake played at Rupp Arena.
He was in the locker room, bro.
He first of all he recreated that photo of him sitting there with all the players, but with nobody else sitting there.
Yep.
That was funny. He brought Rob Dillingham out on stage. That was
I
dope.
didn't see that.
And here's the best part. This is the fun fact. The last time Drake played a show at Rupp Arena was in 2012. The last time Kentucky won the national championship was in 2012. So I'm just saying. We'll see. We'll see.
Hey, she can stay, but shawty, here I go. Should I spend a weekend in Vegas? I'm living inside the moment, not taking pictures to save it. I mean, all right, man. Y'all know I love Drake, but anyway, y'all, man, we're gonna. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to be in Bridgestone tomorrow. By the time this is out, it's gonna be a really good tournament. Very excited to see the turnout, but also ready to see kind of when Saturday and Sunday roll around. When we start breaking down these brackets, it's gonna be real interesting to see who pulls 1 through 3 in those regions, because that's I think 1 and 2 this year are really safe spots. 3 through 5 are really weird this year, with who can be in that 11 through 13 number. That's weird this year, because there's some good teams that might be an 11 seed or a 12.
True that.
5 and 12 games are always like, I don't know who to pick. So
I always end up picking like 3 12s over 5s.
Oh yeah,
I know
especially if it's someone that gets there. If it's somebody that gets there all the time, you can't pick against them.
I can't be more. I do not want to be a 5 seed. I'd rather be a 6 or a 7,
100%,
or a 3 or a 4. I don't want the 5.
Give me the 7, because I love that 7-10 matchup every year. Like, I love 7-10, and give me a 6.
Yeah,
but Tennessee's going to be a 1 or 2. I already know, and
I think win or lose, if Tennessee and Kentucky play for the SEC championship, I think win or lose, I think you guys still can be a 1 seed. Winning obviously seals the deal, but it depends on how some other games go in conference tournaments. But
100%.
Give me the 3 seed in the Midwest with Purdue and Marquette. I want that one.
Please,
I want that one.
I love Tyler Kolek, but he ain't enough.
No, give me the 3 seed in the Midwest with Purdue and Marquette, and let me tear that up.
Y'all, it's been a fun one, man. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification right now. Share this thing, copy the link, put it where you need to. Apple and Spotify. We love y'all. We'll be back early next week, probably Monday, man. Shoot, Lance, we might go live Monday.
Hit me up.
Hey, we might go live, talk about the brackets, because we're going to have them play-in games too. Very interested to see about the play-in games of the tournament. So, y'all, it's going to be a big week. SEC tournament has already started, but the big games start here tonight and tomorrow. So, y'all tap in. It's going to be a great weekend. Y'all know what to do. Again, like, comment, subscribe. We love y'all, and we'll see you back on Monday. For my guy, Lance, it's your boy, Ruck, in the building. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's straight up Tennessee, baby. We'll see you on Monday.